Welcome back, everyone, to the second episode, I guess, I don't really have a name for this yet, so we'll just call it the Commercial Fishing Podcast for now. Now, we've had the New South Wales reforms come through, sweep through the fishing industry and created quite a lot of devastation. Now, some of the things are quite obvious, some of the issues. However, there are other issues that not many people know about, and I'm actually going to go through with a fisher from Wallis Lake, Peter Ragno, who will be joining us. Hello. So, we'll bring Pete in now, and we will discuss the issue of blue swimmer crabs, which no one was really expecting. Pete, have we got you?
Yes, mate, I'm here.
Yeah, so how are you going?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, good. So just before we get into the blue swimmer crab issue,
Yep.
Pre-reform, what were your fisheries that you participated in?
Blue swimmer fishery, the mud crab fishery, the prawn fishery, estuary mashing, beach hauling, ocean trap and line. I think that's about it. Category 2, garfish, gar fishing, estuary.
Right. Now, with the reforms, they, of course, restricted your days in a lot of your fisheries.
Yep.
Now, which fisheries would they be?
The mash and fishery, mash net fishery, we was restricted to 93 days for 125 shares. And crabs got quoted. And the days were for the category 2 hauling, which covers your estuary garfish. We got 5 days for the year.
5 days to work in the year?
Yeah, 5 days.
And for the for the meshing fishery, how many days did you end up with?
93 in this zone.
Under 100,
in Region 4.
Under 100 days.
Yep.
You can go to work.
Yep.
Now, the other point that I suppose hasn't been covered enough is your business was made up of a certain number of fisheries and share classes.
Yep.
Now, to survive this reform, did you have to offload any packages, any share classes that were important to your business?
Yes, we did.
So which fishery was that?
We had to offload the Line West. It was there as a part because we're a multi-purpose fishery. We use all of it, but we had to offload the Line West so we could try and get some more blue swimmer crab shares. But that didn't happen either.
Okay, so you tried to get more blue swimmer crab shares.
Yeah.
And did you do that through the share trading process?
Yeah.
The one that was set up by the government?
Yeah. Well, we didn't know what the prices were going to be, and you can only bid what you can afford, and that's what they told us to do. But, yeah, at the end of the day, they were quite high because our local member told us that we'd get them for nothing, next to nothing anyway, but that didn't happen.
Because the government put money in?
Yeah. And the minister assured him that we wouldn't have to buy them or we'd get them for next to nothing. Now, we still put a substantial bid in, but no, we didn't get them.
Right.
We got nothing.
So that brings us... So you're already down share classes that you could have gone to
Yep, absolutely.
if you had a bad year in your blue swimmer crab fishery. So let's go to the blue swimmer crab fishery now.
Yep.
Now, they've introduced a new size limit.
Yep.
Of 6.5 centimetres up from 6 centimetres.
Yep.
Now, what has that done to your business personally?
Oh, well, we've had a downturn of 71% this year, this financial year, since the reform started. It's not just us, everybody. Everybody's in the same boat. We tried to explain this to the minister before it happened. Daniel Johnson was the bloke who did the study like 18 years ago or something. It was the study the minister went off, and he even decided against it said there's no need for it. They did a revision study in 2015-16, and they said that the blue swimmer crabs in Wallis Lake was a very sustainable stock.
Just go back there for a sec.
Yep.
Did you just say the study the minister used was 18 years old?
2002, the study was done.
2002.
Yep.
That's the most recent study.
Yeah, so what's that? 16 years old.
Okay.
Yep. And there was another study done in 2015-16, and the result of that is the blue swimmer crab in Wallis Lake is sustainable stock.
So the raising of the size limit had little to nothing to do with sustainability.
No, nothing. It was suggested by Daniel Johnson, who was a biologist who did the study in 2002, because at that time there was no controls on blue swimmer crabs. There was nothing. And it was growing rapidly, the fishery. And he said if they ever wanted to slow it down or do anything, you could put the size up for 6.5. It was a suggestion. But he also said in his study, and he pointed it out to me, but if you do this, you will dramatically halt the catch of blue swimmer crabs because they don't reach that size. Because our crabs in this lake are about a 12-month cycle. And that's his words.
Right. And looking back at that study and comparing that to what's happened in the fishery, is that exactly what you've seen?
It's exactly right. It's exactly what happened. So
we've raised the size limit from 6 centimetres up to 6.5.
Yep.
Now, not for sustainability, so one would only imagine it would be to raise the price. Now, did you have a problem with prices? Were you having complaints about the size of the crabs?
No, none at all. None whatsoever.
Okay, so if you've got the smaller crabs and you're catching them and you're getting the price for them and they are being sustainably managed.
Yep.
What then is the outcome?
Well, the outcome now is the handful of crabs that you do catch at the bigger size, because they don't even reach that size till like January, February, it's the worst price I've ever seen for blue swimmer crabs this year. Worst price ever. Doesn't matter, like the minister says in his little letter here, that the bigger crabs will pay bigger money, guaranteed. Not guaranteed, because it's the wrong time of the year, and it's the worst price I've ever seen for blue swimmer crabs. And that's serious.
So, how have you got through this as far as income? I mean, you can't just
what's happened to us? Well, see, in this lake here, you've got a certain amount of mud crabbers and you've got a certain amount of blue fishermen. And because the crabs aren't sized and you can't catch any, we've targeted the mud crabs a bit more heavier this year, and to make up a bit of the income, but we're at a major loss of income just from these crabs. And it's really knocked us around. We're right on the edge of, I wouldn't say bankruptcy, but we're very close. We've got a mortgage, I've got a family, we've got bills, we've got business payments. And, when you lose $15,000, $20,000 out of your income because you can't harvest crabs, it's just it's too much. It kills you.
So if this happens again next season, if you have the same season as you've had this season, and you no longer have those other endorsements to go on to make an income, what happens to your business?
Well, mate, we'll have to make a decision. I've been fishing for nearly 40 years. I don't know anything else. But at the end of the day, if something doesn't happen with these blue swimmer crabs and we don't pick up that income in another fishery, which we couldn't do this year because it's been a pretty dry year, we'll be either forced to stay in the fishing industry, but we're going to have to sell a house because we can't afford to keep paying for it, or we just got to get out of everything altogether and go and get another job. And how do I do that? It's just, mate, it's devastating. It really is. And it's not just me. I know blokes have spent a lot of money buying multiple endorsements for crab shares. And, mate, they told me, I've talked to 3 or 4 of them, if they don't catch crabs this year, they're going to have to sell everything. They're out of business because they can't afford to pay for it.
This reform was about viability. So obviously there's been no goal there, no goal kick.
Mate, this industry was the most viable industry that's been for. Mate, I've been in this game for 40 years, and I can tell you, the last 5 or 6 years before this reform, this industry was very viable. It was very sweet. It was very harmonious. And what these people have done with this reform, you know, the minister made a statement. This is going to stop the people to fish. You know, stop the race to fish. Mate, all he's done is cause the race to fish. You limit people to days, they get the mentality, we've got to go hard, you know, and it's buggering all the markets up. It's just a schmozzle. I've never seen such I don't know what you'd call it in this game. You know, we've been through a lot of reforms over the last 40 years, but this is just ridiculous. It really is. Never seen anything like it.
So this reform was also about security, and remember that every minister, including Ian McDonald, Eddie O'Bede, all of them have offered a more secure industry. Would you say that Minister Niall Blair has kicked a goal with a more secure industry?
Sorry, mate, I don't mean to laugh, but Jesus. Secure in what way? How is it secure? Like it's fair enough having quota or doing it, but if you can't catch any product because of the ridiculous rules they make, what's the point of it? How secure is that?
Well, I think he answered his own question really with the security part, with the introduction or the hopes to introduce a marine park from Newcastle to Wollongong, and the only reason that got stopped was because of the recreational night.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the recreational fishing sector, we've got this increase of size of blue swimmer crabs. Did that size go on to the recreational sector?
No, to this point it has not. They can still catch crabs at 6 centimetres, and we can't.
So
it's ridiculous.
It's essentially a sneaky way of reallocating the resource.
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting.
It's frustrating for us, Dane, because you know we did all we've laid it all out for him. We've talked to the man who did the study. Like, I don't think the minister's even talked to this bloke, but yet he says in his replies that yes, it's done for a reason, and this is why we're doing it, and it's all about science. Science has got nothing to do with it. I don't understand the thinking. Like, I don't know where they get their advice from. It's just beyond me. You know, I've stressed this to the DPI as well. I said to Darren Reynolds, this is going to destroy this fishery. Like, you know, you can't do this. And all he said to me is, well, other people disagree with you. I said, well, when other people have done it as long as I have, and well, then they can disagree. So now we're sort of in a spot that it's happened. And it's easily fixed. Like, I don't care if they put the size to 6.2 and monitor it, what they're supposed to do. Like, that was a suggestion from Daniel Johnson. You might catch 60% of the stock we used to catch, because a lot of that crab, it got between 6 and 6.3, but then for it to grow the extra size, 10, 20% do, you know. But there's just not enough food, there's not enough room, there's not enough growth. And them crabs just linger around. When them crabs just linger around, it stops your smaller stock from coming through. And, you know, everybody's been waiting for this crab. They call it the evolution of the crab. There's no evolution of that crab. It just is not there, you know. Your small crabs all out again now. There's no big ones, unless they're hiding somewhere. I don't know where they'd be hiding, but, you know, all your young stock's out again now. You can't mash or sit in the lake or do anything because there's too many crabs, but they're all small, and it was like that last year. But they just get to that 6 to 6.3. Some get to 6.5, not many, and that's it. And they turn over again. They die and move on. The young crabs come. And unless we change that size, it's going to be the same next year. It's going to be exactly the same. and it's science. It's proven facts. It's exactly what happens. So I don't know where the minister gets his information from. Wherever he gets it from is wrong. And come the 1st of December, if nothing changes again in this next 12 months, well, we're going to have to take some drastic measures somewhere.
So the ones that have lost over the past decades is the seafood consumer. Now, where does Wallis Lake, because this is the Wallis Lake fishery we're talking about, where does Wallis Lake stand as far as the overall catch in comparison to the rest of the state of blue swimmer crabs?
They're down $1 million of turnover from the blue swimmer crabs. Now, you can't sustain, and they're in trouble. You cannot sustain that sort of loss in a business in 1 year. So they're in real trouble. And there's no reason for it. The stock's there. We never caught it. It didn't go anywhere. Like, I fished for the blue swimmer crabs outside as well. And because the crabs never got the size in the lake, everybody said, oh, they'll be outside. Mate, they weren't outside. This year's the worst year I've ever had out there. They never travelled to sea. They just their cycle's finished. That's it. They die off, and then your new crab comes again. And the crabs never went to sea. They just didn't make it, full stop, because we didn't harvest them, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a hard story. This year will be the same. There's a million ton of crab in the lake again this year, but there's no big ones. They're only small. And when they grow, December, they won't be big enough. See, December's your best month for crabs, Christmas. Everybody understands that. When January, February comes, they go reasonably cheap, and that's the only time you get a handful of bigger crabs. Now, there'll be a heap of crabs again in the lake this year. They'll all get to 6 to 6.3. When this time of the year comes again the year after, there'll be none of them big ones left. They'll be all small again.
Yeah.
And they won't be harvested by us. It's just, it's just the way the cycle works.
Well, look, I'm going to have you on again, Pete, to unpack the rest of the reform and have a good chat about the rest of the reform. So, but it's been great having you on, and hopefully a lot of people can see just how much this is affecting the people that produce their beautiful seafood.
Oh, absolutely, mate. It's devastated us. And a lot of people in this fishery here, people just shaking their head. You can't understand it. You don't know what the thinking's about, and there's no need for it. Seriously. So anyway, all right, Dane. Good talking to you, mate. I'll catch up with you.
Thank you very much, Pete.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye, mate. See ya.
That was Pete Ragno from Wallis Lake. He's part of the blue swimmer crab fishery and a few other fisheries. So we'll have him on again to discuss other reform issues that came in. But for now, that's it. If you'd kindly invite people to like the Facebook page, Commercial Fishing Media, so we can get the message out there, what is happening to the food producers, the seafood producers in New South Wales and all over Australia. And I've also got US fishers who follow the page closely as well. That would be excellent. And I'll talk to you next time. Bye.